Good morning, everybody. Can we start our first session? Let me start by thanking once again the ERF and the other organizers for having this meeting on gender equality. As a follow-up to the discussion in the opening session, I think we've agreed to emphasize the fact that gender equality is good economics. It's not only the right thing to do. From what we've seen in the presentation, the progress is slow. Now that we're going to talk specifically about the MENA region, I am really sorry to say that the progress is not only slow, it's uneven and it's not consistent. We can say one step forward, two steps backward. The progress should have been more rigorous than it is. We've also seen the last events in the last 4 years, and this has had its toll on gender equality in the region. I think gender equality now, when we discuss it, we have to discuss it in view or guided by the Global Sustainable Development Goals. It's objective number 5, and it's ingrained in other goals of the Sustainable Development Goals. To prepare for this session, I've tried to catch up with the more recent research, and I have really found that the World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Index is very diligent. It's measuring the gender gap over time, which is very important because then you can see how is the progress moving. And the 2014 report has shown a strong correlation between a country's gender gap and its national competitiveness. And of course, the reason is women constitute 50% of any country, especially in the MENA region. And women's human capabilities are a very precious national asset. And from looking at the rating of the countries and from the score of each country along the 4 pillars of this report, which is health, education, political empowerment, economic participation, and opportunity, it's very interesting to see how the ranking of each country changes. And it changes sometimes because of decision made by the government. It changes sometimes by action coming from the grassroots. And I was really perplexed or saddened when I saw the situation of Egypt. I tried to take one country as an example, and I took Egypt and followed the ranking of Egypt starting 2006. And in 2006, we were 109. Our ranking was 109. In 2012, our ranking has dropped to 126 and 129 in 2014. This is really very alarming. We know for a fact that the representation in the parliament has been very poor for women. It declined to less than 2%. We also know that at one point we had 5 women in the cabinet, and now we are back into 3. We don't know if this number will increase. Hopefully, in the new parliament, the representation of women will improve because of the quota system and how women are placed within the party lists, and the closed list is good for women, because whoever is on one list wins. If the list wins, everybody on it goes to parliament, and this is really good for women in view of what we've seen in the first presentation in the opening session about religion and culture and other things that affect women empowerment and gender equality. Again, if I look at the breakdown of the ranking, we will see fluctuation. Economic participation, Egypt was 124 in 2012. In 2014, it declined to 131. Educational attainment was 110. We went up to 109. Health and survival, we were 54, and this is our best achievement performance because of the drop in maternal mortality and infant mortality and under 5 mortality rates. So we were 54 in 2006, went down to 56 in 2014. Political empowerment, we were 125 in 2014, went down to 135 in 2014 out of 142 countries that are being measured by WEF. They don't measure all 193 countries because of availability of data and credibility of data, so on and so forth. So having said this drop in the ranking, I must say that all indicators of Egypt have improved, which means that other countries are pacing Egypt or moving faster than Egypt, who was the first country in the Middle East and North Africa to give women their political rights. In 1956, we had women members of parliament, and at the beginning of the 20th century, women gained their education, and the Cairo University was built by the initiative of a woman. So this introduction is really to say that the MENA region is not really very privileged, or is not, the achievement is not very impressive when it comes to eliminating gender gap. I also want to say that the MENA region is not homogeneous. There are disparities, different socioeconomic factors that affect this. So this session is very important, though the title is a bit general, but I hope from the contribution of the two distinguished speakers we have, we will be able to make a closer analysis of the gender equality in the Middle East and North Africa. We are planning this session to allow more time for question and answers, and each speaker will try her best to speak within 20 minutes time frame, and then maybe catch up in the question and answer session. It gives me great pleasure to give the floor to Dr. Stephanie Seguino from the University of Fairmont in the US. She will talk about gender equality matters for economic development and growth. Please, the floor is yours.